Welcome to our programme. Like every month, we'll bring you a summary of the most important debates and decisions of the European Parliament's plenary session. Let's start with the headlines. Parliament takes action on soil protection. Europe to introduce aviation CO2 reduction schemes. Globalisation must provide Europeans with prosperity and security. Nicolas Sarkozy proposes setting up a common European defence. Soil is a non-renewable resource with significant economic value, and its protection is crucial for a number of reasons, including food production, preservation of nature and landscapes, and cultural heritage. It's also an important factor in combating some of the effects of climate change, such as drought and flooding.
To organise a legal framework to protect European soils, the European Parliament has approved a proposal which defines common objectives to stop degradation processes and to provide information on polluted soils. The report, tabled by EPP-ED member Cristina Gutierrez Cortines, has completely redrafted the European Commission's original proposal and conciliates those who think this rule is necessary and that existing rules in member states to protect soils are enough.
This document is new and responds to a new way to tackle proposals for directives. We faced the problem that of the 27 member states, only 9 had legislation to protect soils. And this is something that we will have to face in the future with other proposals for directives. European legislation has had an asymmetric development in the field of soil protection, and we have a lot of countries that have a PhD while others are still in their secondary studies in this respect.
The key to resolving these differences is subsidiarity, leaving national authorities to choose the forms and methods of protecting soil and taking into account the enormous differences existing already amongst local soils. The Framework Directive will facilitate the establishment of a single market for the acquisition of soil, as it enables any European citizen buying land to access information concerning its characteristics, such as whether it was ever classified as industrial ground or considered as polluted. With a compromise reached by Cristina Gutierrez Cortines, every country should have a public inventory of soils and draw up a national strategy to protect them against erosion, organic matter decline, biodiversity loss, salinization or desertification, as well as a plan to remedy the problems of contaminated soils.
The European Union will be the first economic area in the world to introduce emission trading for air travel. This week, the European Parliament adopted a modified proposal by EPP-ED member Peter Liese.
The scheme is likely to start in 2011 and will include both domestic EU flights and international flights with takeoff or landing in the EU. Parliament improved the Commission proposal, making it more ambitious in the areas of environment and competitiveness. Peter Liese explained why all flights should be included right from the beginning.
We all agree to call for a single starting date. Domestic EU flights and international flights with takeoff or landing in the EU should be included at the same time. This is necessary for competitiveness reasons, but also because of the fact that 2/3 of the aviation CO2 emissions stem from intercontinental and not from domestic EU flights. Of course, we have to enter into talks with third countries. This is why the Environment Committee decided to mandate the Commission with such negotiations. If, at the end of the day, there was an agreement on common goals and a joint scheme which provides the same level of emission reduction as the Commission proposal, fair enough.
Members voted in favour of a higher percentage of auctioning. Instead of a 5% share as proposed by the Commission, Parliament is now calling for a 25% share of the auctioning of emission rights. Auctioning is important in order to give new market participants a chance and to minimise so-called windfall profits. Under the current EU emission trading scheme, consumers in the electricity sector have seen price increases despite the free-of-charge allocation of certificates in the first place. Members propose that the revenue generated from auctioning be used to lower the tax burden and support environmentally friendly modes of transport such as buses and trains. Parliament wants to reduce the overall emissions, the so-called cap, from 100 to 90%. It also voted against excluding government flights from the emission trading scheme.
The European Parliament held a debate on the effects of globalisation and the steps the EU must take to meet its challenges.
Speaking on behalf of the EPP-ED group, the chairman, Joseph Daul, warned that Europe must not shy away from the responsibilities of ensuring not only security, but also prosperity for its citizens. In this sense, Europe must strengthen its domestic market, invest efforts in reinforcing the Lisbon fundamentals of more growth and jobs, and work towards a common energy market.
Avec un baril de pétrole à près de $100, il y a urgence en la demeure Europe.
With oil at almost $100 a barrel, we urgently need a European energy policy to ensure our security of supply and also a sustainable growth in this sector. We must launch a substantive discussion on renewable energy and examine the possibilities offered by civil nuclear power in the supply of energy. At the end of this research, we all want a Europe whose energy is cleaner, safer and more efficient.
Une Europe énergétique plus propre, plus efficace et aussi plus sûre.
The EPP-ED group believes that globalization offers new opportunities, but the challenges of globalization have to be met by an integrated internal and external policy, which is indispensable for the success of the Lisbon Agenda.
The defence of European identity, the market economy and the construction of European defence were the highlights of Nicolas Sarkozy's speech to the European Parliament. The President of the French Republic proposed the setting up of a committee of wise men to debate the future of Europe. Following the Lisbon Agreement on institutional issues, he considers that such a move would constitute an important step forward in tackling political issues.
Dans la démocratie européenne, il faut pouvoir débattre.
In a European democracy, we must be able to debate European identity and national identities. We need to be able to discuss how Europe is building and defending its identity. We must be able to discuss the way in which Europe protects national identities, which are a treasure of Europe.
Qui sont une richesse de l'Europe. L'Europe est attachée à la concurrence.
Europe is dedicated to competition, but Europe cannot be alone in the world in making it a religion. This is why, during the summit in Brussels, it was decided that competition was a means to Europe and not an end. Europe has made the choice of the market economy and capitalism, but this choice does not entail the laissez-faire absolute or a drift towards financial capitalism more convenient for speculators than for entrepreneurs and workers.
Et aux rentiers plutôt qu'aux entrepreneurs et aux travailleurs. Comment l'Europe pourrait-elle être indépendante?
How can Europe be independent, have a political influence in the world? How can Europe be a factor for peace and stability if it is itself incapable of ensuring its own security?
This programme was brought to you by the press service of the EPP-ED Group, the largest political group in the European Parliament. You can find an extended version of the EPP-ED report on our website www.epp-ed.eu. See you again soon.